How's it going, you glorious rascallion bastards? The name's FOXSOL. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to some good old-fashioned WutheringWaves. In today's video, we're going to go ahead and break down Changli, using her as a main DPS. I want to make an actual guide, not just a rambling video about things, but I want to make an actual guide about my Changli, what I'm doing with her, how she's working, break down some key components. So that way, for you guys out there who want to do, you know, extraordinary damage with your Changlis, and you want to do something more, or you want to try something, hey, maybe this build will help you out, maybe it won't. Either way, how about you take a seat and let's get into the video. Alrighty, so first and foremost, starting off, we're going to take a look at all stats here. And you can see our HP is at 17. You can see our attacks at 2600. You can see defense is a little low at 1100. And you can see that we have nothing in energy regen. We hardly have anything in crit rate. Our crit rate's at 37.9%, but our crit damage is at 305. Looking at it from the main stats right here, you can see that resonant skills also has a 36% bonus. Basic attack has a 14.5, and as you can guess, is that's because substats on echoes didn't come out and play nicely. We have nothing for heavy attack bonus. Liberation's got a 43.2%, and fusion has a 40% bonus. Otherwise than that, there is nothing else on this character that is anywhere been amplified. Build wise, again, we have the Blazing Brilliance. We have it at rank 2. Like I stated before, you can just summon it once and that'd be fine. If for some reason you cannot get the Blazing Brilliance, the other 5-star weapon would be a good alternative that would work. Not as well, but it could work for the damage percentage on it. Other weapon ideas that you could probably go with on this is like Lumen Gloss for straight up attack, which is a 4-star. Maybe even Commando Conviction would work. I'm not too sure about Lunar Cutter, to be honest, but maybe if you're working on a sub DPS stat, it probably could work. However, in this case scenario, we are working on a main DPS build, and Blazing Brilliance is the best weapon for this. Now, with this, you'll see, with Crimson Phoenix, the attack will increase by 15%. The wielder will gain 1 stack of Searing Feather. Upon dealing damage, which can be triggered once 0.5 seconds, gains 5 stacks of the same effect. Upon casting Resonant Skill, each stack of Searing Feathers gives 5% additional Resonant Skill damage bonus for up to 14 stacks. After reaching max stacks, all stacks will be removed in 12 seconds. This is really good because Changli is going to play around heavily on her resonant skill damage. So getting that additional 5% for up to 14 stacks will really make that resonant skill, when you're going to pop it, is going to pop. So this is the reason why this weapon is really, really good. When it comes down into the forte, I would suggest completely, first things first, you're going to want this entire chain. You're going to want the first entire chain right here of Flaming Sacrifice into Secret Strategist and going into Sweeping Force. The reason why is because Sweeping Force is really good for its own uniqueness, and that's because every time when Changli releases heavy attack, Flaming Sacrifice, or Resonant Liberation, her alt, Changli's fusion damage will be increased by 20%, as well as Changli will ignore 15% of the target's defense when dealing damage. Now, I know some people are going to probably criticize this, what I'm about to say, and they're going to be like, well, you're wrong about that. That's not what it means. But I'm going to try to put that in English for people who don't understand, is that the way I see it is that I am going to ignore 15% of that defense, and I'm going to be applying what I like to call true damage onto the enemy. That means that I'm just fuck your 15%. Now, and I'm just going to hit you really fucking hard. Resonant skill is, like I stated, with everything. You can go ahead and you can read this all for yourself. This is tells you everything, but we're going to be playing a lot around resonant skill. We're going to use the alt, but the alt is not going to really be doing as much damage as what we're going to want to do with resonant skill. It's just that this is going to allow us to where, for example, we build up our resonant skill, we pop our resonant skill, we pop our alt, if we have alt, and then we're able to pop our resonant skill right back again. I'll show you when we get to demonstration purposes. But the chain way I would see this is that you're going to want to get this forte circuit as heavily done as much as possible. You're going to want to balance that out with resonant skill. Third is going to be the resonant liberation, and then put a little bit into normal attack. Intro skill, we're not too worried about. These are going to be the four. First is forte, second resonant skill, third liberation, and fourth normal attack. Now, I'm not saying just do this chain first, do this chain second, do this chain third and fourth. What I'm saying is that you want to put more emphasis in this. You want to put your second emphasis in this, third, and then whatever's left over, you want to put into this. So I would say balance it in that regards. For us, we do have a full resonance chain. This actually helps out tremendously when it comes to Changli being a main DPS. Now, what I mean by that is that with the first dupe, Changli's damage with Flame and Sacrifice in her resonant skill is going to be increased by 10% and have resistance to interruption. Her second dupe is going to allow her while doing her inflamement shit, is going to increase the crit rate by 25%. This is going to play into the reason why this build is like it is. Learn Secrets is going to increase our alt damage by 80%. We're not too worried about this, but Polished Worlds does allow with the intro cast that all team members gain 20% for 30 seconds attack damage. We're not too worried about that. Sacrifice gains. Flame and Sacrifice multiplier is going to be increased by 50%, and the damage dealt by it is going to be increased by 50%, which is really good. And then the last stat, which is the most amazing stat. This is what, when I saw this, my heart skipped a beat. With Realized Plants, Resonant Skill, Heavy Attack, Flame and Sacrifice, the Resonance Liberation alt damage will ignore 40% of the target's defense when dealing damage. We already have with Flame and Sacrifice and the alt 15%. We're going to ignore an additional 40%. That makes it 55% of the target's defense that we are going to completely ignore when we're dealing damage. This right here tells me, in my honest opinion, that for a character that is supposed to be a sub DPS that would work with Encore, for example, that we can make her into a powerhouse of a DPS. So keep that in mind. Getting into the Echo build real quick. This is where I know there's going to be someone when I start showing this is going to tell me it's not right. And I'm going to tell you, resources are too damn fucking high, motherfucker. So we work with what we can work with. Future wise, we'll build them up, we'll replace them, we'll do what we got to do. But because resources are high, we got to work what we got to work with. I know this is not optimal, 100%, but this is good enough for what we're going to do for right now, and it's going to give you the idea. So we are doing a 4-3-3-1-1 build. That means that we're going to be having Infernal Rider as our main Echo. And as you can see, the main stat that I was worried about was a crit damage 1. Second one that I was doing was to have a Dread Mine. It doesn't matter, whatever elites, doesn't matter. But we did an attack at 30%. Okay. Third one that we did was for one that was going to be the lizard fucker right here, that we did for fusion damage bonus. Now, I have played around with the idea on this and before stated that we have done 2 fusion bonuses before, and I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't getting the damage that I wanted out of it. We had similar substats on this, but it wasn't playing too well. And then actually looking at it over the calculator of wavering tools, I could see that, you know, having too much fusion element on top of Changli was going to actually cause to where we have less damage. I'm actually going to be testing to see if we can, I'm going to be testing a different build later on that's going to do something else. But for right now, this is what we have. So we're going to have fusion damage here. And then both of these right here for our ones are both going to be attack at 18%. And what we're trying to do with our substats is we're trying to get resonant skill damage. We're trying to get more crit damage if possible on it. If we can get like this, resonant liberation damage, that's great. If we could have gotten an attack percentage on this, that would have been amazing. And then if we can get crit rate, I would love to see, because the only one that does not have crit rate is this guy right here. I would love to have the percentage of HP right here replaced and have that push into with that could have been crit rate. But that's just where we're at. That's how everything is on that regards. So with that being stated and everything so far on the build that you see with the echoes, the weapon, the skills and everything else, I think it's time that we go ahead and jump into examples now and take a look at, you know, rotation, team composition and stuff like this next. All right, let's get into it. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick look now at our team composition. This is going to be somewhat required in order to help Queen Changli pop off her damage. But I will state that with Bai Chi, you see right here on the screen as our resonant healer, you can replace her with Varan. You could probably replace her with Jianqi. You can, future wise, any support could most likely replace her because we're not too worried. She's not doing anything else but healing our team. That is the entire goal of her. But Tao, our big booby one, our big booby girl here, is the key component on this team to help Changli even more. And she will probably be able to be replaced in 1.2 with Zeishi. Because what we're looking for here is, since we know we're playing with Changli's resonant skill, we want Iron Will, which is the outro skill from Tao, which is that the incoming resonator has their resonation skill damage amplified by 38% for 14 seconds or until they are switched out. This right here will work really, really well to just make sure that when we're going to pop out our damage on, you know, our skill, that we get an additional 38%. With Bai Chi, the reason why I have her on here as well is that the heal resonator has their damage amplified by 15% for 6 seconds. So technically, if you can pull this all off within 6 seconds, which you can do, you can make this work out. And with Bai Chi, you could actually go from Bai Chi down to Tao and into Changli, which would, if you can do this all correctly, all three buffs would go, both of these buffs would pop onto Changli to make it to where her skill damage can do extraordinary amount of damage. So, all right, now it's time to get into real world examples real quick. And I want to make sure that we are clear about a couple of different things. So before we actually go fight a boss and everything else, we're going to go fight a couple of enemies, but I want to showcase a couple of different little elements on the screen for you guys. And one of those elements right now that you can see actually on the screen right now is right here. This is for the blazing brilliant sword that we have. This is our stat counter. So remember when we read that you get 14 stacks, after 14 stacks is 12 seconds, but each one of those stacks is 5%. So that's 70% that is going to our resonant skill damage. That's right there. This is how you can mark. This is something that you want to make sure you keep your eye on to make sure that this is at a high level before you do anything really with your resonant skill. You want to make sure that, hey, if it's on a countdown to 12, it's getting counted down, you know, you already used your 14 stacks, that you're not wasting your resonant skill damage. You'll just rebuild up the stacks again, and then you'll pop your resonant skill ultimate, pretty much I call it, right after you hit 14, so that way you can make sure you get that 70% increased damage. Ideally, I want to showcase something else here real quick, because I did not explain this, but I want to make sure this is explained. There's another reason why I'm not too worried about crit rate right now on Changli, because there's multiple ways that we could do crit rate. But one thing that I want to showcase is that right now, let's go into our resonators one more time, is that our crit rate right now is at 37.9%. Okay. There's a reason why I'm not worried about this crit rate. I would like to see this at least around 42-ish. That would be the best way. So if I want to, I could eat some food real quick and we could be done with that. But instead of doing all that, what we're going to end up doing, let me go ahead and close my tool. I'm going to go show you really quickly that we have a summon 6 Changli, but when you summon her twice, there is an ability that she gets, and you'll see it right here. We went into using our skill damage, and ta-da. Now you see that it has increased all the way to 62.9%. We're above 50%. And in any game, I'll tell you like this, any RPG game, any gacha game, as long as you're above a 50% crit rate, you're good. Now, with food, what I would recommend, and we'll just go ahead and see really quickly if we could eat one here. I'm not sure if you could eat one while you're in the middle of battle, but we will go see. There is actually a food that I do like to eat. And that one right there is right here. The herbal tea. This will increase all team members' attack by 12%. So we get a 12% increasement on attack and the crit rate by 10%, lasting for 30 minutes. Let's go ahead and use that if we can. Yep, we can use that. And you'll see that we're at 72.9%. Our attack did go up a little bit. And I use this as part of my build as well. And now we're pretty much guaranteed that we're going to start critting really, really, really hard. So let's just go ahead and end these guys' lives just like that. You know, waifu's going to go ahead and end their life. Boom, boom. Bye-bye, Echoes. Oh, this one said no, he's going to go back to sleep and watch his friends be murdered. I don't think so. Okay, you dead. And we're going to go fight the Crownless real quick. Now, you see, we're at a 9 stack right now on the Blazing Brilliance. You'll see that the other 2 icons right there showcasing that our crit rate and our attack went up. We have a full inflame engage meter, which you could tell by the dress being burnt down, and that our ult is up, and that we have our ultra skill. What I want to make sure of here now is that we're going to be playing a little game plan. All right. And the game plan idea, and it may or may not work in this match because bosses let's put it like this, bosses be crazy sometimes. They don't do everything I want them to do. But this is the game plan idea, my rotation of what I want to do with my team composition. With Changli, I'm going to first go ahead with Changli. I'm going to swap out to Tao. Okay? Because we have our ultra skill already built. So I'm going to go ahead, switch out the Tao. I'm going to spend everything that Tao has skill-wise, echo-wise, and try to build up her ultra skill meter right here as much as possible. When it's depleted and I have nothing else I'm going to do, I'm going to switch out to Bai. We're going to do the same thing with Bai. We're going to try to stay on the field. We're going to try to survive a little bit. We may switch back to Chang to just go do a little bit more damage. And then we're going to repeat the process. When we get back to Tao right here, when we come back to Tao, the goal with Tao is that we want to make sure that with her meter, starting from here, her meter is going to end about right here. Let me do a different color for that just to show you. We want her meter to end about right here. We don't want the ultra skill to take effect yet. Because why? We want to switch back to Bai, and we want to build Bai's ultra skill at that point in time to max. When her ultra skill is at max, we want to make sure that when we heal all our allies, because Changli is going to get healed from this, because she's going to take some damage, Tao's going to get healed from this, that all allies are going to get a attack boost. This is all, there's going to be an attack damage boost is going to happen all across the board. Then we're going to switch back to Tao, which at that point in time, we're going to be able to get her a full meter really quickly. And then that is when we're going to swap out to Changli, and we're going to pop our skill. We pop our skill, we're going to pop our ult, and we're going to come back, and this is going to be full again, and we're going to pop out our resonator skill one more time. And this is going to be the idea that I am trying to do with my attacks to make sure that I am optimizing the damage as best as possible. This is actually the best case scenario because in all honesty, I wasn't expecting to have a full bar meter from fighting those guys over there. But what we're gonna go do is we're gonna go fight the Crownless real quick, and instead of fighting them at level 90 and making this shit last longer, let's go ahead and fight them at level 70 so that way we can just go ahead and demonstrate this real quick. We're gonna take some damage, swap out the towel. It's fine. We're just, like I said, we're trying to get the meter. Oh, okay, I got the meter wrong, but still, we're trying to get the meter about right there. Now we're gonna switch over to buy. We're building up this meter as fast as possible. And I just want to showcase this, okay? So now we switch. We hit our ult. Then we switch back. You see 201. We switch. And I didn't even get to finish it. I should have did it at level 80 or 90 or maybe. But that was the idea of what we were trying to do. It was 210,000, but we were going to swap back to the alt like you saw, and then we were going to swap back to the resonator skill. And we were basically, while we were buffed for the next 14 seconds with Tau, we were going to make sure that we were going to extinguish all the resonant skill. Now, resonant skill doesn't also say this. Okay, this is just the main damage part, but using this skill, this is considered resonant skill. All of this is true sight. So true sight is also considered resonant skill damage. All of this is amplified in this regards. So hopefully that gives a good example. I should have thought a little bit of probably at a higher level, and that's my fault, and I apologize for that. But I wanted to make sure that we try to keep this video somewhat low. And I just wanted to give you guys a quick idea on what we are trying to accomplish. So hopefully that is good. I will go ahead and now switch over to the next part to where pretty much we'll get into our closing talks. So yeah. Well, guys, I think that is going to go ahead and conclude our guide for Changli. This was a crit, like I said, this was a crit damage build guide, and I think that this is going to be a lot better than the last video I did because we did do some changes to her entire kit a little bit. And I will just say like this, every little part works together. So hopefully from what you saw in today's video that you get a better understanding how my mindset works with the character, what I'm trying to aim for, how I'm trying to make this character be pretty much a powerhouse, rock hard, hit like a truck bitch. Because why? She fucking is amazing as hell. So not much to go from there. I mean, I would just say there is some optimizations that we can still do for Changli. I know this for a fact, like I stated before. And we're going to work on that over time. With 1.2 coming across the board right now, Zaishi is going to be coming in. We're going to be starting to work on Jinshi because I believe that's going to be the sub DPS that's going to work really well for her. But I also think that it's going to work really well for Changli as well. So this guide may be revised again in the future depending on how things are. So I tell you what, we're gonna go ahead and leave it with that, guys. You tell me down in the comment section below whether you like the guide, whether you hated the guide. Give me all your good criticisms. Criticize me. Give me all your good feedback, your bad feedback, whatever it is. And remember, I do try to comment and talk to every single person that leaves comments, no matter how small, how big, whatever you are. And that same thing applies to where when we go ahead and do, straight up live streams. So I do plan to do a live stream this Friday night, around 9 p.m. Central Time Zone, maybe sooner than that, depending on how things are with family and all that good stuff. But I'd like to take the time to thank every single one of you for taking the time to watch the video. And if you did like it, please consider giving the channel a subscribe. Consider sharing the video with some people out there because, hey, sharing is caring. And at the same point in time, guys, if you don't mind, leave a like, a dislike on the video, whichever one. And stay cool, stay easy, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.